Alright guys, TC Made with TC Gaming coming at you with another live stream for tonight. Tonight's going to be a little bit about the Synty Polygon, what I'm referring to as battle packs. One of them is the Battle Royale, and the other one is, I think it's called War Pack or something like that. Yeah, War Pack in here. So basically they're right here next to each other, Battle Royale and War Pack. So I'm going to get into those in a second. Just getting a couple things situated here. I've been working all day on trying to get some things figured out, and I've almost got them, but it puts me behind schedule a little bit. So if you happen to stop by, feel free to say hi. If you got questions, let me know. I'm going to probably go through and talk a little bit about how to get a bunch of animations for these two. I just kind of ran across something in the process of this research that I think is probably going to be pretty helpful for a lot of people looking to get assets for the Synty Polygon characters. And then the hope is that as I continue to work with this thing, that I'm going to actually be able to get a process together for converting the advanced locomotion system version 4 to operate with the Synty characters. That's kind of what I've been working on most of the day, and I'm real close. So if you get a chance, we'll hopefully have a thing up running for that here in the next day or so. If you get a chance to follow that project, I think you'll be interested in it. But tonight I'm going to show you at least the retargeting portion of that, hopefully, if we have time. So anyway, real quick, Synty Store is having their sale 50% off top 3D assets for the rest of this month. And so if you get a chance, go out there to their website. I always recommend buying directly from them because a couple of different things, but first of all, by purchasing on the Synty Store, you get the direct support for the developers of the content, and it gives them the ability to make even more assets. Basically, nobody's shaving money off the top. But the other thing in here is that when you purchase an asset from the Synty Store, you also get the Unity and Unreal versions, and you get the source files with the FBXs in there, which are great for being able to upload to things like Mixamo and all that kind of stuff. So tonight what I've done basically is I've created a third-person project, and I've pulled in the Battle Royale pack and the Polygon War pack. Now, the Polygon War pack is running right now at $45 with that 50% off sale, and the Battle Royale pack's running at $25 with that sale. So these are really great assets. I haven't done too much with them yet, but I just really like the way that they look. Now tomorrow night I'm probably going to try and feature the sci-fi packs, and then I think I'm probably going to wrap the whole live streams up later on or in the middle of this week with the farm kit. And there's a package I worked on a while ago with farm kit that lets you grow some stuff and harvest it and use it in your inventory, so that was pretty cool. So we'll go through all those types of things, but like I said, tonight I want to bring you some animation retargeting stuff that I think you'll find useful for these Synty assets. And I show a lot of videos like that, but this one, what I came up with today is so far my favorite thing. So let's go ahead and get right on into it. Go in here to our editor. Again, I've started up just a basic third-person map with default content in here. And inside of this, you got the Polygon Battle Royale and the Polygon War. So we're going to go into the maps, and we'll go in here and look at our overview, which is what we did previously. And we'll go look at all that stuff real quick, and then I'll retarget this character to use some additional animations and things. So, again, if you have questions out there in the live chat, please feel free to drop a line, and hopefully I can answer your questions. If not, I'm usually pretty good at figuring it out and getting back to you. Let these shaders compile here real quick, and while that's happening, I am going to zoom out a little bit, actually maybe a lot. So this is an overview map for Battle Royale, as I mentioned earlier. So letting those shaders compile. But we can go down here and start with some of the stuff that's come in so far. So in this Battle Royale kit, you got a couple of different tanks and some boats and some basic military type vehicles with different textures on them. And the ones that you see here in the front, to me, basically look like they've had some destruction to them. See how the turret's bent, and you've got a couple different things here with the damage for the textures. So you could imagine setting these things on fire and burning the paint off of them and having them all dented up and everything. So it's pretty cool that they give you 2 different models for each one of those. And then let these things continue to compile here. You get a little bit of ground texture. These will look great here in a second, hopefully. Also get some trees in there, and I'll just keep flying through here until the assets load. Get some tires, a couple of drums, looks like crates, some locks, keys. What else we got in here? Looks like a power transformer or something there. I don't know what that is. Maybe it is. There's your parachutes for dropping into your battle royale. And some characters here for you to play as. Almost done with the shaders, guys. My apologies at how long some of these things take to load up. There we go. We got color. So now if you, let me just go back through here real quick. There's some of those other assets we were looking at. Scattered papers, briefcase. Looks like a bomb. Med kits. Let's turn this camera down a little bit. And we will gingerly scroll through here. It might be too slow for me. Alright, so here we also have some different armor and different mannequins. And then each of those mannequins, those different characters can have different heads and everything that you attach to them. These are all handled through sockets on the skeleton. There's some more armor. And it's just a really cool package. Like I said the other night, if you've been watching any of these streams as I've been doing these, the stuff that they put out and the work that they put into it is just amazing for the price that you're paying for this. As I said just a minute ago, these really aren't that much money. This Battle Royale pack, I think I said, was running around 20-25 bucks or something. So, well worth it just for some of the basic models that you get in here, let alone the additional stuff that they put in as like the dressing. There's your Battle Royale circle. And a couple of really nice buildings back there. Now, if I remember correctly, most of these buildings do have interiors in them, which is great because then you can spawn, loot drops and things like that. So you'll see these as I run through in the actual demonstration map. But they are pretty cool. I would imagine, I haven't done it myself, but I would imagine also you could probably use these buildings in some of the other packs and just change the textures out on them to give them a new look. If you're building multiple areas or different city maps or whatever with these dropping in. Alright, so we will go into our demonstration map. And in the demo map here, I'll probably have a couple things that's got to compile also. Maybe not. But look at the size of this thing that they put out there for you. If you had your weapon stuff figured out and your combat rules stuff figured out, you could literally just drop a couple people in here and run around and play for a while. It's a pretty cool map. It's reminiscent of some of the other games that I've played before with just the way that it's laid out. But just a lot of neat stuff. We'll go down in here and kind of zoom in. But you can see they got the buildings we talked about a second ago, and some shipping containers and things like that. You got towers up there. You can snipe from that area. You got different motorized weapon vehicles over here, planes. Just all kinds of fun stuff. And one of the things I liked about this map when I first got it was just it was pretty timely. This was all when all the Battle Royale games were like super hot for a little while, and this popped out right around the same time, so it was pretty cool. I'm gonna hit the play button to see if I can drop a character in here. Now, this guy, I don't know if he's too big for this area or not. There's a couple of spots where my mesh may collide with some of the archways and doors and stuff. Yeah, like that right there. And I think I looked at this before. There's a couple different ways to fix this. One is you could go in and change the type of collision mesh that's on it. I think it tries to draw a line across the doorways, and you can just take that off of there. But the other way is you can actually change the half height of your capsule a little bit, and that would make it so that you're small enough to actually be able to get through the archways. I'm just going to run around a little bit and kind of show you this in here. Now, what's common in a lot of these, and it has nothing to do, I don't believe, with the way that Synty has these maps set up, but it's in your editor. If you go into your editor when you're in here, if you go down to show, post processing, and under eye adaptation, if you take that off, it'll make the lighting look a little bit better. Now, when I hit play, it might get bright again. Not sure. But if that's the case with the thing, what you can do is go down here to your third person blueprint, and your third person character has a camera setting in here for the camera. I think it's under, I don't know if it's under boom or under the actual follow camera. Under the, might be under follow camera, post process lens, exposure, and if you flip on min and max brightness, if you set both of these to 1, that will make it so that when you start the game, you get the same setting as if you shut off that eye adaptation. And if you look at this, it basically says it's auto exposure minimum adaptation. It's if it's disabled, it is disabled if the min equals the max. And auto exposure is implemented by choosing an exposure value for which the average luminance generates a pixel brightness equal to the constant calibration value. I'm not sure exactly what all that means, but I know that if you set them the same, you don't have to deal with it. So if somebody who knows more about lighting and all that kind of stuff maybe could answer exactly what's going on there. But that's how you shut it off. And we're going to go in here and do some more running around real quick. And let's see if I can get inside of a building here. It's got glass in the window. But you get the general idea. I mean, it's a battle royale map, tons of buildings. It'd be real easy to spawn these into an area too, using some of the markers and nodes and things that come with procedural generators. You can just plunk these down randomly into an area, and then do the same thing with like random loot spawns and stuff. So that's pretty cool. And then what we'll do is we'll go out and we'll hit the other map here real quick, and then we'll get right into just doing some fun retargeting and a way to get like a bunch of assets for this. As far as animations, basically free. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm working on trying to get some things converted over for DCS and the other maps and stuff. So that was Polygon Battle Royale. Now we're going to go to Polygon War, and we'll go in here to the maps for this one, and we'll look at the overview, and we'll go through and then we'll get into something a little bit more productive as far as educational value. Again, I'm just doing this to kind of promote the Synty stuff, give you guys a chance to see under the hood of what's going on with their asset packs. If you have any questions about anything, you want me to zoom in on something, show you some more detail about it, this is a great chance to do that. That's why I'm running these as live streams instead of individual tutorials, because the sale's running through the month of May, and I wanted to have an opportunity to respond to any live comments. Not that there's a bunch of people that travel through here, but the ones that do, try and help as much as we can. Try and get some information out to you. Waiting for this thing to load. There we go. Not too many shaders. Zoom back out. Now the reason I put these two together in the same map is obviously you can imagine extending your Polygon Battle Royale map with some of the buildings and some of the other assets that are inside of the Polygon War package. Lots of stuff on here. For the price that you're paying on these things, it's amazing what you're getting. Just letting those shaders compile. Lots of really cool scenery objects. And what else we got over here? Looks like a couple of bombs. Some explosions. My camera's running real slow. There we go. What do we got here? Yeah, so smoke, fire, explosions. Look pretty cool. Got some missiles. Probably build a pretty cool package or a pretty cool game with these assets. The demo scene for this on their demo reel is really good. If you haven't seen it, you should go take a look at it. It's just it's almost like a little snapshot right out of history, you know. But there's that. A couple of destroyed buildings, which I like, and then you got buildings in here. I don't know if these have interiors in them though. I don't think these do. No. That was one of the things that was a pretty consistent feedback that I saw in their chats and stuff. Is that people are looking for more interiors, and I know that they mentioned at one point that they were going to start working on putting more interior content out there. So let's go into the demo map. Look at the size of that boat over there. Looks good. And we'll go into the demonstration map. Let these shaders compile. Zoom out. But I mean, look at what they've built for you. You could probably reinvent the game Battleship using this thing. I don't know if there's a player starting there or not, but I'm going to hit play and let's see if it just drops me in. Yeah, cool. There you go. Once those shaders compile, you'll see a lot more interest and detail in here. The little foxholes and bunkers down through here, tanks, and starting to populate down with the shaders. But yeah, I could easily see extending these and putting them together, making a really cool giant map out of this thing. Pretty neat stuff. Like I said, for the price you're paying. But these would work out in just about any, map, kind of like a Call of Duty or something like that. These areas are very reminiscent of that type of game. In case you want to run around and try and dodge some low poly bullets, in the war-torn streets of Syntyville. I feel like I should be trying to chop those trees down to get some wood or something. Oh, look at that plane wreck right in the middle of town. So hopefully it gives you an idea what assets are in there. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bounce over to the retargeting thing that I mentioned a minute ago. So if you're somebody who has a bunch of Synty assets like I do, one of the things that is always a challenge is trying to find assets for their animation and understand how the retargeting works on them, because their skeletal structure is a lot different than the regular humanoid rig. So let's talk about that a little bit. I'm going to hit F11 and go in here. Now, I said I found a way to get a lot of animations for your Synty characters, and I have, and here's what we're going to do. If you go on the marketplace, let's go, I can get to it from my launcher, but if you go into the marketplace, I think you guys are going to love this. If anybody watches this video long enough to see this, whatever many minutes we're into this, this will be the reason that it was worth it. Maybe. I could be hyping you up for nothing here. Maybe you guys already know this and I'm just the one late to the party. But if you go into the vault, or actually into the marketplace, sorry, and you go in here, what they did is there was a package called Advanced Locomotion System. And if you go in here and type in Advanced Locomotion, you'll find this Advanced Locomotion System version 4. It's got 799, like 4.9 stars or whatever, right? 137 reviews, 4198 questions answered. Now, the guy who stopped basically developing this, and then he just gave it to the world for free. So what they've done with this is they put this in the permanently free collection for the Synty content. So if you're just in the regular old marketplace and you're browsing around, if you go in here for free, and look at the permanently free collection, that's where this thing lives. You could scroll down through there and find it, but really the easy way is just to punch in advanced locomotion system, as I did there for a second ago. So once you get that and you download it into your launcher, what you would do in your library, you go down here to your vault and you punch in advanced locomotion system. And this one, you have to create a project, so it doesn't come merged into a project. You start with an empty project, or you start with a project built from this and then add stuff to it. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in here, we're going to say create a project, not remove local content, but we're going to create a project, and I'm going to browse out to my D drive, and I'm going to go into Unreal Projects, and I'll select that folder, and we're just going to call this, I'll call it Synty ALS Anims. Okay, and as I mentioned earlier, I'm working on a process where I'm going to actually incorporate all this stuff together. But it occurred to me as I was running through that this is also just a great way to get a bunch of animation blueprint or animation stuff for your character. Some of the physics and all the things that you have to do with adding virtual bones and all that kind of stuff. It's a little bit advanced, but I'll show you real quick. So we created that, and then what we're going to do is we're going to go in here. We should have that that project there, Synty ALS Anims. So again, we'll pull this over into its own little project. We'll open that up. And I guess I'll just take we'll do it with the Battle Royale package. I don't think that's too big. So let that load. Actually, while it's loading, I can go down here into my vault again and just type in Polygon, which is going to get me to Battle Royale. I'll say add that to a project, and we're going to put it in the, whoops, I hate that when that thing does that. We'll dismiss this. Go back in here, and we're going to add that to the Synty ALS Anims. Say add to project, and just let that add that in. Now the reason I'm doing that is so I can get some skeletal content from a Synty Polygon asset and then show you what I'm talking about with these anims. If you're building your own animation blueprints and behaviors and all that kind of stuff, this might help you out because you're going to need animations for these Synty characters, as I mentioned earlier. This thing keeps starting on my Steam package, so I don't think we're going to have to rebuild anything, but I'll show you how to do this real quick. If you go into settings and plugins, if you happen to have VR, and again, developers, please shut this stuff off. If you go to virtual reality and you go down here, you can disable Steam VR and disable Oculus, and then hit restart now, and it'll just flash it real quick and basically shut that off so it doesn't try and fire up your VR every time you go to build this thing. Let's see here, and then we can close that, and now we have Advanced Locomotion and Polygon Battle Royale. Now, in a normal scenario with Advanced Locomotion System, let me just play a little piece of this Advanced Locomotion System. The reason people like this is because, when you lean, or when you turn corners, your character leans, he's got pretty realistic looking jumps and stuff. If you hit the shift, he's got a better shoulder run than the other guy. If you hit shift and up, he climbs up, right? Pretty decent. Basically all of his IK stuff is turned on, which is inverse kinematics or whatever. So you can see he's able to do this. So you could almost build like a little parkour style game pretty fast. And then they show you this. Here's what IK is. See how he's standing, and his one leg's like. It actually looks better on steps, I think. But if I stand on one step, you might not even be able to see it. Let's see F11. If I stand on a step there, I get 1 foot on a step. There you go. So I can stand where my feet are separated on 2 different levels. This doesn't happen with your normal character. You've probably seen this. If you're running around, you'll walk up to something, and both your feet will be sticking out in space or whatever because your capsule's sitting up on the thing. Well, what this IK does a lot of times, that it'll do some ray tracing to determine where your feet should actually come into contact with a mesh, and then it'll draw them down to that so that it'll bend your knee and flex it just like you would if you were doing that for yourself. So a lot of people want this to to be able to repurpose it. And that's what I'm working on. Advanced locomotion ported over to Synty. I did one for Dynamic Combat System the other night, DCS. But here's what I found while I was doing this. Your issue, if you try to do this yourself, is going to be under the characters, you're going to have a skeleton. So this one's called Topless Male 01 Skeleton. You can go and change your preview mesh on here. And I'll just go and put on like, we'll just do Business Male 1 or whatever. I did this 1,000 years ago in one of my live streams. If you notice, the skeletal structure of this character is very minimal in comparison to the normal mannequin, and also in comparison to this particular skeleton. So if I go to character asset mannequin skeleton, the ALS mannequin skeleton has a lot more bone definition. It's got virtual bones in here, and it's got, you know, all these different things happening. Well, if you go to retarget this onto that, you're going to lose a lot of stuff. So what you do, this is just, and this is not to make ALS work, this is to just show you what I'm talking about in general. If you go to Polygon Battle Royale, for example, and you go down here where your meshes are, and you go into your characters, and you have, you know, where all your stuff is here, what I would recommend is you create 2 folders. First one, actually maybe 3 folders. You're going to call this ALS, and I think I called it Synty underscore ALS. And then inside of the Synty ALS folder, and I'm just right clicking on there and saying new folder. So inside of here, I'm going to say Synty underscore, and this one I'm going to call anims. And then I'm going to go back up a folder, and I'm going to go one more new folder, and I'm going to say Synty, and this one I'm going to call montages. Okay. Then we're going to go to the character assets again, and we're going to get this mannequin skeleton, and we're going to take that ALS mannequin skeleton, and I'm going to drag it over here into the Synty ALS folder. And very importantly, you don't want to move this. You want to hit copy here. So if you go over here, now you have a copy of that skeleton. And what we're going to do is we're going to call this Synty underscore ALS underscore skeleton. Okay. Now it's a copy of the ALS skeleton with the IK bones and all that kind of stuff on here. Okay. For the character that you want to change into this type of a character later on, or to have animations for it, what you do is go into the character folder and find your mesh that you want to do this to. So I'm going to take the, I think I had Business Mail, right? So here's Business Mail 01. I'm going to take Business Mail 01, and I'm going to drag him down there also into Synty ALS, and I'm going to say copy here. I'm going to go in there, and I'm going to rename this guy to Synty underscore business underscore mail. Just call it Synty ALS and Synty, actually call this Synty ALS. I like to kind of keep things the same here. Synty underscore ALS underscore business underscore mail. Now back up here in your character assets for your mannequin skeleton, this guy also has physics assets, and one of them is called the mannequin physics assets. So you're going to grab that one, and same thing, you're going to drag this down here to this Synty ALS folder, and you're just going to say copy here. And you go back there to that folder, and we're going to call this Synty underscore ALS underscore, and I'm just going to call it a PA for physics assets. So I've got a skeleton, a physics asset, and a mesh that I had on a different setup. Now, if you go and right click on the Synty ALS business mail, you can go over to skeleton and say assign skeleton. What some targeting videos will show you for this is to go and hit ALS mannequin skeleton. Now if you do that, if you change this to the ALS mannequin skeleton, what it's going to do is it's going to try and retarget all the animations, probably going to crash your system. And when you get done with it, your character is going to look like somebody grabbed a hold of him in the center and twisted him up like a ShamWow or something, you know. So what we did instead is we created this Synty ALS skeleton. If you go down to the Synty ALS skeleton, It's going to tell you that you're missing some bones in the Synty ALS skeleton that come from your business mail character. And several of them here, to be quite honest with you. But if you just say accept on this, because the Synty ALS skeleton right now is not tied to any other assets, this will go pretty quick. It's going to ask you if you want to add those following bones, and you just say OK. And then it's going to tell you need to save it, so say save all. Now if I pull up my Synty ALS skeleton, I have my Synty character, and I'm going to apply this preview mesh to that. I have my Synty character on the structural framework of the ALS character with the IK bones already in here and everything. And any of the bones that go to this character that needed to be in here are also here. So you can see, like, we had a couple of bones that were missing, like eyes, eyebrows, all that kind of stuff. See, it brought them over, and it knows exactly where to put them. So, you know, if you wanted to mess around with these things, I mean, you could go and grab his eyebrows here, and I'll just spin him a little bit so we can see it. And, you know, if you're doing something where he's got to go and move his eyebrows around for some conversational thing or dramatic effect, you still have that stuff there. But you also have the ALS stuff. And in the preview mesh of this thing, you got this guy here. Now, you want to go to Retarget Manager. I've got a preview mesh on him. Skeleton looks good. Under the Retarget Manager, he's already mapped as a humanoid. Okay, most of these bones are already set up, but you want to go to Show Advanced. And in a lot of the Synty characters, now this one here looks like it's probably okay. So in a lot of the Synty characters, what you have, if I'm holding down Alt here and spinning this around, is they only have 3 fingers on their hands. They've got a thumb and index finger, and then the middle, the ring, and the pinky are all 1 finger. So on your mapping here, excuse me, on your humanoid mapping rig, you want to make sure that your middle and your pinky, oh, actually, you know what they did? I see here. Okay. So they actually map these to the other bones that are in that skeleton. That's not going to work out. So the reason it did it is because it had the structure on it. What you want to do actually is your index finger can go to your index. Your middle can go to finger 1. So if you go to finger 1, this is all left-hand side. Glad I noticed that. So finger 1 left. You're going to go over here and say finger 2 left and finger 3 left. And then your pinky is also going to go to finger 1 left, finger 2 left. And I'll show you in a second exactly what I'm saying there. Oops, I overwrote that while I was talking to you. Finger 1 left, finger 2 left, and finger 3 left. And then your ring finger, excuse me, also goes to that same finger. So finger 0, 1 left, finger 2 left. And I have a mapping for this that I'll post up on the web here later. And I'm doing it manually for those of you who probably should do this manually a couple times to understand it. And then you have thumb 1, 2, and 3. They're okay because you do have a thumb. You got a thumb and index, and then 3 bound fingers. So they're okay there. You're going to come on down a little bit further now. You got your right hand side, same thing. Index 01 is okay on that, but again, middle is going to go to scroll down finger 01R. Middle 02 is going to go to finger 02R, and this is going to go to finger 03R. And then the same thing with your pinky. This is going to go to finger 01, finger 02. Whoop, not that one. You don't want that one. That's the left one. Finger 02 right, and pinky goes to finger 03 right. Your ring finger, and I know it sucks you got to do this, but you just got to do it. That's all there is to it. So go ahead and get in there and get it done. This ring finger, finger 02 right, and this one goes to finger 03 right. And then your thumb's okay. Everything else should be pretty good. And what I would recommend, I said this before in another video, you guys may not have seen this one, but if you want to save these, what you do is you save them and you go out and you pick a spot. Like I'm in the Synty ALS folder, so I would just call this ALS underscore, or maybe I'd call it Synty underscore ALS underscore bone mapping, and save that. And once you save that, you can load this and it'll update all these references for you. So if you had to do this to a bunch of characters, which you're going to basically do it every time you're changing skeletons within a pack. So each skeleton that those things are built on, there might be some subtle differences, and you're going to want to migrate those skeletons into that other base skeleton for ALS. But you're going to be able to save yourself some time if you have this asset mapped for you. And in most cases, the Synty packages have the same mapping across the board. But anyway, I got humanoid, got all my stuff mapped. I've got a skeleton that's got all the bones on it. Everybody's looking pretty good. Now what we can do, I'm going to save that skeleton. I'm also going to go and open up the mesh for the Synty ALS business mail. And under the physics asset for this thing, instead of using the topless mail 01 whatever physics thing that comes with this, you're going to go down here and look for the one called Synty ALS physics asset. And then just assign that and save it. And if you go open up that physics asset, you just want to go in here and just say simulate and make sure that thing works with its ragdoll. So it's going to fall out. And what that does for you, since you reassign that, now you've got all the right physics applied to your animation, or for your character over there, the way that this wants to behave for the ALS package anyway. Alright, now here's where you get all your animations. If you go up here to this ALS package, under the advanced locomotion, character assets, mannequin skeleton, they've got animation examples for actions, different montages, all that kind of stuff. But the one that we were just up there in, we have an ALS anim blueprint, and that's mapped to all those different things. Well, what we want to do is take this ALS mannequin skeleton and put it in the same pose that we had for our Polygon Synty ALS skeleton. So he's in a T pose. We're going to take our ALS mannequin skeleton, and he actually comes with, I thought he came with a T pose. If you go to preview, it's not in here. Maybe it's in the one of the other packages. It's okay. So what you do is you go into his thing here. You're going to grab his arms, and you're going to take these up 50. You're going to take this lower arm down 10, but you also want to take that thing, that lower arm, and take it back 30. And then I do the same thing with, I take the wrist or the hand or whatever, and I pull it up 10. And all we're looking for here is to try and get a decent T pose on this guy. I think I'm a little scrolled over here too far. Take that up 50. We're going to take this one back 30, down 10, grab the hand and take it up 10. And if you go out here and you look at that, now you got a T-pose on this guy. And you've seen me do this type of thing 100 times. What's the difference is that we assign that Synty mesh to a new skeleton and let it merge all the bones together so that we saved ourselves the energy of trying to recreate all this. But now that you're there, you want to go to your retarget manager, and you're going to go to modify pose, use current pose, and that's going to temporarily snapshot that T-pose. And the reason you did this is so that when you go to your character asset for the mannequin skeleton, and you right click on this ALS anim BP, you can go to retarget anim blueprints and duplicate, and you can duplicate it onto the Synty ALS skeleton, which is in your T-pose here. And remember we called everything Synty underscore ALS? Well, we're going to do the same thing here, but this is just going to be called Synty underscore because the prefix of all that other stuff is already ALS. And we're going to change the folder to our, in this case, Polygon Battle Royale, and go into the meshes, characters, Synty ALS, anims folder, and just say OK. And as long as everything looks good here, you know that you got a T-pose character over there. If you don't see a T-pose character over here, normally it's because you forgot to apply the mesh to the skeleton when you were in there setting up the retargeting, and it doesn't have anything to preview it with. So you just hit the apply to asset or whatever, and it'll take care of it. Now you're going to hit retarget. And when we retarget this, what this thing is doing right now is it's duplicating all of the animations that go to the ALS package and putting them into our Synty anims folder. I'm going to hit save all. Save selected. Now, You don't have to use these with ALS. These animations are fairly universal and can be used, pretty much in any type of game that you might be building where you need a jumping animation, a falling animation, right? You want to play the animation of him rotating in place, or you want to go in here and get whatever they are. I'm just throwing out random things as I'm picking them up. But you can see that the translation of this, and it's even got the notifications and the anim notifies and all that kind of stuff are set up. All right. And those fingers, I don't know, maybe, I don't know if I put those on there, if that thing already has his fingers out like that. I'd have to go look at it. I'm pretty sure those were mapped correctly, so it's probably just the way the animation is. But I mean, even like this, like, your guy reaches over and grabs binoculars and looks up and then jumps down behind something and looks at binoculars. You got these two different anims in there. This will save you, if you get this process down, this will save you so much time. I can't even begin to express. I've done a lot of retargeting videos. If you watch my channel or look at my other videos or whatever, I've done a ton of these. This is a lot of animation assets mapped to this process. We're going to do another one here too. So we're going to go back up to our advanced locomotion kit, and under our filters, we're going to go under animation and look for montages. And it's just going to pull up the ones that are the montages for this. And you do the same thing. You highlight these. I've just basically, I'm just doing a shift click there. You could also do a control click, if you want to get individual ones. But I'm just doing, click the first one, hold down shift, click the last one. Got them all. Right click, retarget anim asset, duplicate, Synty ALS skeleton. And then we're going to go for the prefix. Again, is going to be Synty underscore, because they already have the ALS on them. And then I'm just going to change the folder to mesh character Synty ALS montages and hit OK. And then retarget. And now they've been duplicated over there. If I go to the montages, I now have copies of those for my Synty character. I just hit save all. And these are his animations getting back up. It's a montage. So montages have potentially several animations in there with additional options for some of the ways that you can control them. But they're just fantastic. And you can still, if you need something that's not in here, you can still go out and certainly get it from the asset store. But there you go. That thing's ready to rock. And if you had this, if you were in a game like, if I could literally take this Synty ALS package right here that I got with the montages and the anims and stuff, I should be able to take this thing and just say migrate, right? So if I take that folder and migrate it, it should go down and get all of the different things that go into that package to make all those different animations work for the Synty ALS stuff. So all those things I'm getting in there, all those different options for the animations, the bone mapping, the skeletons, look at all that stuff. And I can port that over to another project, and then in the animation blueprint for that project, I can start to reference how these things are wired up. And we could verify that real quick. Let's see. I don't like to make these too long, but I'll show you the basics of what I'm talking about, and I won't go into try not to go down into the weeds too much. But if I were in here and I created a new project, or let's see if I even have one. Well, I got that Synty Battle project. I guess I can put it in there. Let's see if Synty Battle has, well, it's going to want to overwrite that one thing, which I guess is probably not that big of a deal. But the Synty Battle package that I have there, I want to say that has the third person. Let's disable this. So again, I got to go down here into virtual reality and shut off the Oculus and shut off the Steam VR thing, and then restart it, just because I never turned it off on this version of the thing. Seems like the time goes by so quick, and I feel like I've said 1,000 things in the last, half an hour, 40 minutes or whatever, but this stuff's hopefully helping you guys out. So yeah, you got a third-person character with a animation blueprint and stuff in there. So what we'll do is we'll migrate this into this package and just see what it does. So I'm probably better off shutting down Synty Battle. Go over here and take this Synty ALS folder, which has everything in it that I'm going to need anyway, and say migrate. Okay. And then you're going to find your Synty battle folder, go to content, and just say select folder. And it's, yeah, so it's saying there's already a material asset in there. Do you want to overwrite that or whatever? And I can just say yes to all. It doesn't matter because they're all the same thing that came over last time. And it's going to show you that some of the content wouldn't overwrite, which is typically okay. So if I go in here now, and again, this isn't where I'm going to leave this for permanency. This is, I'm going to come back to this and try and get this ALS package to work where the character that you would see out on the field there is going to be your proper character. But in order to get all that to work, there's a whole bunch of other scripting and stuff that has to take place. Not scripting, but setups, I should say. I don't want to make it sound daunting. It's a lot of work, but it's should be fairly straightforward work. But I'm not going to sit there and play with that while we're doing this. So I'm going to close this package. And now I got, I should have in my Polygon meshes, characters, Synty ALS, I now have these characters here. So, if what I'm saying is correct, I don't know if we got a player start in there. Let's go play start. There we go. Alright, so if I go into the third person blueprint, go to blueprint third person character and go to the mesh for this, into the viewport, I should be able to go down to the skeleton mesh and find the Synty ALS business male, and then his anim class is going to be the Synty ALS anim BP. Now, this is what happens. Okay, so actually I do have some cleanup to do. This is a byproduct of the way that the inverse kinematics is applied to this character, but the good news is this is a really simple fix. I just don't know what it is right off the top of my head. I have to go and look that back up. But once I get this fixed, this character will be fine to run around. So what I was going to show you, though, let's go back the other way. Instead of doing that, I'll just show you what I was talking about. In the animation blueprint for your character, so Synty anims, there's an animation blueprint in here. Synty anim BP, where's it at? That's up here. Synty ALS anim BP. So inside of here, when you retarget all that stuff, if you go to your animation graphs, it's already retargeted all the stuff in there to point to all the Synty assets that go along with that package. And if you had to build an animation graph for a regular Synty character, you should be able to swap the skeleton out and use this to retarget the animations. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to not push this too much further, because you see in here that the animations work, right? And that all I have to do now is just clean up his animation blueprints and everything. So what I'll do is I'll set this up as a side project that we will come back to finish up the other piece of incorporating this into the ALS once I get it figured out. It's a little late anyway. It's like 11:30, almost 11:30. So I've been on here about an hour or 45 minutes or whatever it is. Hopefully you guys see what the value of this is, and I'll be able to show it to you in a little bit more detail down the road. But normally in a blueprint for a third-person character, for example, you would have a, or not there, I'm sorry, in your animation blueprint, there should be one in here for the mannequin. Mannequin has an animation blueprint. So, for example, in here, if we went into our animation graph, just to kind of show you what I'm talking about, there's a state machine in here which determines, is he in the air, what's his current speed, is he able to jump, is he currently jumping, and when he's done jumping, going back to an idle run. Like just a very basic blueprint that you see with everything that allows your character to run around. This is where that's at, by the way. But when you go into jump start, there's a play third person jump start in here, you know? And so you would have the way that this is set up, you would be able to go in, right click and say play, and then you can go and find any animation that's tied to that character. Now, because this character is not that character, but if you were building one in there, the animations for that character would all be available here. So if you wanted an idle animation from the ALS package, well, you have one. You just basically pirated that thing from that kit. I say pirated affectionately. The asset is free permanently, and as long as you're not selling the animations from that individually, they're embedded in your program that you're releasing to the market or whatever, that you've compiled that thing and it's turned into an executable file where the person can't take the individual asset out of it, then you're fine as far as the legality of it goes. But again, with getting the anims and the montages together for this is a huge way to get some really great animations for your character pretty quick. And then like I said, we'll talk about a little bit more about how to use this in another video. I want to prepare a little bit better for it, first of all, and secondly, I don't want to tie up a bunch of time. So hopefully this gives you guys some stuff to think about. These things in here are called anim notifies or whatever. And what these do is these send triggers to the blueprint so that the blueprint knows when to play a footstep. Actually, and this one is just a sound cue. And these point to a sound somewhere on the drive. And then the other ones, this actually tells them. They use them for a lot of different stuff. You can use them to move your character around. You can use them to trigger events to let somebody know what your counter is on a weapon attack, if you're able to do a double attack or a double jump or combo moves, stuff like that. These are all handled by anim notifies, which are a little advanced for tonight, and I'm still wrestling with some of that myself. Understand the basic concept, but not enough to sit here and teach you a class on it or anything, which is not the intent of this anyway. So the reason we're here is because of the Synty lockdown sale, 50% off their top 3D assets running through the month of May. Again, I'm not affiliated with Synty. I don't work for their company. I'm not affiliated with Unreal Engine. I'm not a professional educator. Just trying to help you guys out to understand some stuff that's out there that maybe get you thinking in the right direction. And there's plenty of great tutorials out there for the basics of how to load up a project and put a character out there and all that kind of stuff, if that's what you're looking for. What I find myself doing a lot, as I said in last night's live stream, is I like to buy packages that are pretty close to the way that I want them and then tweak them and use them so that it saves me a bunch of time. So hopefully this process here will save you some time as well if you're putting together a system where you want better animation and live stream or locomotion and stuff like that. So I am going to go back after this and look at his finger and see what's going on with that. But guys, sorry it's so late. Thanks for checking this out. And again, once I get done, I'm working on some stuff that another one of the watchers had done a lot of work on and really got it to a point where I think I'm going to be able to help push it over the finish line if he doesn't beat me, because he's kicking ass and taking names and doing a lot of great work. But we're collaborating on trying to get this package done where well, maybe he doesn't know that. I'm throwing out the word collaborating like we've been working on something under a contract, but that's not a contract thing. We are collectively working on the same goal, which is to merge the advanced locomotion system with the dynamic combat system, and then bring those two systems to the Synty Polygon universe so that you can have your really awesome, inexpensive Synty assets in your low poly worlds using things with inverse kinematics and better weapons and ability to have combat and stuff like that. So go check those packages out on the marketplace. Dynamic combat system, advanced locomotion system. Check out the Synty assets and everything. Stay tuned for more of this type of content. I'm again trying to bridge the gap between the basic stuff and the super advanced stuff, and I'm trying to show you how to buy an asset on the marketplace or buy an asset from a developer and use it and get yourself underway to where you can free yourself up, and you can always come back and change graphics out. You can always come back and change out scenery. You can always, well, scenery and graphics are similar, but you get what I'm saying. You can block a level out and get your stuff running and get it laid out, and kind of be moving forward instead of stumping yourself with the overwhelming prospect of building everything and finding every animation in the world to make something work or whatever. And we'll get there. We'll just keep working on it, and hopefully my videos can help you in that gray area in between the two. I am going to put together a basic tutorial series talking about these general concepts, just to make sure that you have a foundation, that if you follow along for some of the more advanced stuff, that you know what an animation blueprint is, where it came from, how to get to it, stuff like that. If there's an interest in it, I'll keep pushing to make that happen. Obviously, at some point, these are going to slow down because I'll be going back to work, just like many of you hopefully will be going back to work soon. And, in the meantime, if, just stay safe, take care of yourself, and I'll try and get back on here again tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, I'm hoping we go through some sci-fi packages. And then again, I said I'm going to go through the city pack, the town pack, and the farm pack, kind of dump those all together under rural fodder and scenery. But start imagining a world where you could put all these things together. You got a farm, a city, and a heist pack that we'll be reviewing. You throw all those together, and you got yourself a nice little like sim area or something, or place to do all these different combats. So, guys, thanks again for watching. My name's TC Mabe, TC Gaming, and I will catch you in the next live stream. Stay safe. Take care.